Here's a brand new yarn. Kind of brand new. Don't really know exactly how new it is, but it's new to me anyway. Bernat Gazoom is a very unusual yarn. And when I looked at the photo on the website, yarnspirations.com, www.yarnspirations.com, I wasn't sure what this yarn would feel like by looking at it, because you know the fiber content is 100% polyester, but I've felt all kinds of different polyester, so it was hard to know what it would feel like. But now that I have it in my hands, it feels so good. It feels like a very soft chenille blanket, kind of velvety. It has a really nice texture to it. And it's a loopy yarn. It's got loops all through it. These big loops. So I tried to pull it from the center of the skein the way I always do, and it's not cooperating. So I'm just going to take the whole label off. So before we take off the label, let's read what it says. It has a free pattern on there to make this long cowl. It says that it takes 3 balls of this yarn to make one cowl. And I did see a pattern on the website for a shorter cowl, and I think it takes 2 balls of yarn for that. And this yarn calls for a size 50 US 25 millimeter needle, really big. And I don't have a size 50 needle, but I do have a size 35. So here's some really big knitting needles that I think these will work, size 35. I'm going to give it a try anyway today and see how it goes. It does not recommend a crochet hook. I don't see a crochet hook listed on here, so I imagine that crochet might be difficult to work with this yarn. I can try and see what happens. I do have a great big crochet hook somewhere, so that'll be something to try. The color I have is Lime Truffle. This is a super bulky yarn, of course, and it says that you'll get 4 stitches over 4 inches. So over a 4-inch span, you'll have 4 stitches, and that's 10 centimeters. Let's see how big 4 inches is. 4 inches is like that. So we get 4 stitches. We get about 1 stitch per inch. That's pretty big yarn. It's hand washable. You lay it flat to dry. I can't remember what that X through the pyramid means. It might mean no dry cleaning. I can't remember. I don't remember. No ironing, of course, because who would want to iron that? And that's all I see on it. Oh, it is approximately 9 meters, 9.8 yards. So it's not a lot of yarn. It's only like 10 yards of yarn. And that's all that we see on the label. So now let's take the label off, because I think it'll be easier to use this if we just remove the label. Maybe if I don't tear it, I can just slide it out. That's what I'll do. There we go. There. Now let's take a look at this yarn. It's very fluffy. Looks like a tribble. Hey, there's an end. Yay! So now we can see what this yarn looks like. It's just a bunch of loops. And you know, do you remember when I did the review of Bernat Truffle? I mean, not Truffle, Florets yarn? That's what this kind of is made like. It's made like the Bernat Florets yarn, where you have the loops all hanging down like that. So if I work with this yarn, I will be making sure that the loops are all hanging down, just to make it easier to work with. So that's how it's made. It's just all loops all the way through. Anyway, I'm going to cast on about 4 stitches, I guess, with my size 35 needle, which is a little bit too small, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about those loops. I'm just going to let them hang where they want to hang. That ain't going to work. Let's try it this way. There. And like any other chenille yarn, it wants to grab hold of itself because it's so grippy. So you just pull it through. I'm doing a long tail cast on, which might not be the best cast on to use with this yarn. So it's taken some work to make this happen. So you don't work through the loops, you just work like it's a strand of yarn, like it's one great big strand. So I think I'm going to cast on 5 maybe. Let's try that again. I'm just grabbing hold of a loop. I don't want a loop, I want the whole strand. There. So then I have to set it aside and pull it snug. Alright, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the needle. That's probably enough to try to knit with. Put that out of the way. I don't really like working from the outside of the ball, but I don't have any choice with this yarn because I can't get to the center of it. So it's taken some effort to work with this yarn. It would probably be easier if I was not reaching around a camera. And it might be easier with the size 50 needles, which it recommends, since I'm using the size 35. Very labor intensive, but it's a fun yarn, and fun yarns are supposed to be kind of crazy, and that's what this is. It's kind of crazy, man. Kind of crazy. It's fun. Alright. So I did 1 row. So I can see it'll be pretty quick to make a scarf with this, because I've already made, what is that, about 3 or 4 inches? So it's fast work. Working with the size 35 needles. I'm going to do 1 more row knitting. Now, I am not going to try to purl with this yarn, because it'd be silly. Nobody's going to see the stitch definition of a purl stitch with this yarn, so it's pointless. Anything you make with this, you'd want to just do garter stitch. Now, I think that this yarn would be fun for making the top of a pair of slippers for your feet. I think that would make a really cool top of a slipper. So you could get like, you could make the sole of a slipper and then just make this to go over the top of it. That would be perfect as a pair of slippers. In fact, that's probably what I'll do with it myself. Make a pair of slippers, because I have just enough here to make 2 little small sections about that wide, and I could just lay that across the top of a slipper, and my foot would fit underneath like that. That'd be perfect. So for me, that's what I would make, some slipper covers. That'd be awesome. Alright, so now we've seen how to knit with it. Now I'm going to go over here across the craft room. It does unravel. It's kind of difficult to unravel, but it works. You just have to be patient. It helps if you wiggle the spot where your stitches were created. That helps it to come undone. So it's not impossible to unravel. You just have to work with each little section. Alright, now I'm going to go over here and get a great big crochet hook. Let's see what I have. There. I just bought this crochet hook the other day. It's really big. Huge. 19 millimeters. Now what was it that this thing called for the knitting needle? It called 25 millimeter. This is not that much off. And my size 35 knitting needle that I just used was 19 millimeter. Yay. So this is a very similar sized crochet hook. But I don't think it's going to work because it does not recommend a crochet hook for this yarn. But I'm going to try and see how it works crocheting with it. So I'm using I think it's a size, I have no idea what letter size this crochet hook is, but it's 19 millimeter. So I'm going to work some chains with it. I can't really hold it like I normally do. It's too big. Well, I'm kind of holding it like I normally do. I think the problem with crocheting this yarn is that your loops disappear as you make a chain. So it's not loopy anymore. It turns into more of a solid fabric. But yeah, you can see the loops on the other side. Alright, let's try, go to the hard part is seeing your stitches. So you really have to just feel them. Did that one. There's that one. Yeah, this is really hard to see the stitches. So that's why crochet is not recommended. I mean, I'm doing it, but it's not easy. Let's see here. There's another spot. So I would imagine that would be easy to do an extra crochet stitch by accident. You probably just have to count your stitches on each row to make sure you have the right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh-oh, I didn't crochet right. I was pretending like I was knitting there, I think. That's funny. Arr. Yeah, I did that wrong. Wrong! Arr. Oh well. Maybe that's a sign of my age. I just had my birthday a couple weeks ago, and I turned a big number. The big 50. You know, it didn't bother me. I thought it would, but it didn't. I was like, oh well, it's just another year. I'm just getting another year older. But I feel the same inside as I always have. I think everybody's that way, though. You just feel the same. The outside of your body gets older, but in your mind, you're still the same person. Alright. I'm going to try to remember to do actual crochet this time instead of whatever it was I was doing before. Oh man, that was probably Tunisian crochet I was doing. I have no idea. I've never tried Tunisian crochet. Alright. Now, let's do some real crochet this time. There's a single crochet. It's not easy to use this yarn for crochet. But, I mean, it is possible. So, if you have a huge crochet hook like I have, then you can crochet. You could probably just finger knit this yarn, or finger crochet. There it is. Because I imagine that my finger would be about the same thickness as this, I keep working through loops by accident, as this hook. I think I might have just worked 2 in the same stitch there. Like I said, it's hard to work with this yarn for crochet, so that's probably why they don't recommend it. I think there's one more left. Yeah, there's one. It's really hard to tell if I have a stitch there or not. It's impossible to read this yarn. It's so loopy. So loopy. But I'm kind of loopy too, so we're a good match. Alright, so I did 1 row of single crochet. And I have like, what's that, 2 inches wide? But when you work crochet, it curves in on itself. See how it curves? It doesn't lay flat. So it's like you're making a round thing. Because of the way the crochet fabric makes itself move, it pulls in. I wonder what it will be on the next round. I mean next row. Let's find out. Oh, you're always working on this side, so it would continue to flip in on itself. It would just make a long tube. So it would just keep on growing up and it would be round. So if you wanted to make something long and round like a pole, that's what it looks like, you could crochet. All your loops would be out on this side and back on the back is smooth. So designers out there, if you want to make something that curves like that, there you go. So now you've seen Bernat Gazoom knitted, and you've seen it crocheted. And like I said, I think it would make a great slipper cover. So I'm going to try to design one of those myself. And I might go look for some size 50 knitting needles, because I don't want to crochet with this yarn. It's easier to knit. And I will let you know what happens with my made up slipper covers, or slipper foot cover. Do you know what I'm talking about, what I'm wanting to design? I'm wanting to have a regular foot and then make this gazoom go over the top to cover the foot. I think it would be good. Anyway, it's just my ramblings. And it's easier to unravel this knitted than it is crochet. So, there you go. That's Bernat Gazoom, the tribble. Dun, da, da, da. See you later. Bye.